Ambassador Hyunwoo Kim sat in the cold metal chair and watched the alien council members argue about humans again. He had been coming to these meetings for 15 years. Every time it was the same story. The aliens would talk and talk, but nothing would change. The meeting room was huge. It floated in space around the galaxy's center. Through the big windows, Hyunwoo could see thousands of stars, but right now he only cared about 3 small stars, 3 empty star systems that humans wanted to make into new homes. "The human request is premature," said Counselor Vex Thari. The tall blue alien's voice was cold and mean. "These creatures have only been in space for 53 years. They are still children." Hyunwoo's hands tightened into fists under the table. 53 years since first contact. 53 years of begging for permission to grow. 53 years of being treated like pets. Dr. Tae-min Lee, sitting next to him, passed over a data pad. The information on it showed the 3 star systems were completely empty. No life, no other aliens claiming them. Nothing but rocks and gas floating in space. High Chancellor Morden was older than human civilization. The gray alien skin looked like tree bark. When he spoke, his voice was slow and tired. The human species shows concerning patterns. They expand quickly. They change things. "We must be careful." "Careful of what?" Hyunwoo wanted to shout. Instead, he stood up slowly. The room became quiet. "Honored Council," Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm, but inside he was burning with anger. "We have presented complete surveys of these systems. They contain no life. They threaten no one. Our people need room to grow." "Need?" Vexthari laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Humans always speak of need. You have 12 worlds already. Why do you need more?" "Because we have 4 billion people living on ships," Hyunwoo said. "Because our children deserve to see real sky and feel real ground under their feet." "Then perhaps humans should have fewer children," another council member said. The words hit Hyunwoo like a punch. Captain So-young Park, who led the human escort ships, made a small angry sound behind him. Her hand moved toward her weapon before she stopped herself. "We are not asking for charity," Hyunwoo continued. "We offer fair trade. Our medical technology, our food production methods, our mining expertise." "Your mining expertise?" Vexthari stood up. He was twice as tall as Hyunwoo. "You strip planets bare. You take everything and leave nothing." "That is not true," Dr. Lee said quietly. "Our environmental reports show—" "Your reports," Vexthari cut him off. "Human reports. Why should we trust them?" Hyunwoo felt something break inside his chest. 24 years of diplomatic work. 24 years of being polite to aliens who thought humans were animals. 24 years of watching his people live in crowded ships while empty worlds waited in the dark. "We have another proposal," High Chancellor Morden said. His old voice filled the room. "The Council has voted. We will grant humans supervised species status." The room went completely silent. Hyunwoo felt his blood turn to ice. "What does that mean?" he asked, though he already knew. "It means every human action outside your current territory must be approved by this council," Morden explained. "Every new colony, every trade agreement, every ship that leaves human space, you will be guided by species with more experience." "Guided," Hyunwoo repeated. "You mean controlled." "We mean protected," Vexthari said with a cruel smile. "Protected from your own dangerous impulses." Captain Park stepped forward. Her face was red with anger. "You can't do this. We're not your property." "You are members of this council," Morden said. "You agreed to follow our laws." "We never agreed to be slaves," Park shot back. "Slavery is illegal in council space," Vexithari said. "This is guidance. This is wisdom." Hyunwoo looked around the room. 63 alien species. Some of them looked uncomfortable. A few seemed sad. But none of them spoke up for humanity. None of them said this was wrong. He thought about his daughter, Jae-young, back on Earth. She was studying to be a diplomat like him. She wanted to follow his path. The idea of her sitting in the same chair, begging these same aliens for scraps, made him sick. "Ambassador Kim," Morden said, "do you accept the council's decision?" Hyunwoo stood up straight. For the first time in years, he felt completely calm. "We came to you as friends," he said. "We offered partnership. We shared our knowledge. We followed your laws. We respected your customs." The aliens watched him. Some looked bored. Others seemed annoyed that he was taking so long to answer. "And in return," Hyunwoo continued, "you treated us like dangerous children. You made us wait decades for permission to live on empty rocks. You questioned every decision we made. You doubted every word we spoke. Ambassador, Vexithari said impatiently, will you accept supervised species status or not? Hyunwoo smiled. It was not a happy smile. No. The word hung in the air like a bomb about to explode. What did you say? Morden asked. I said no. Hyunwoo's voice was getting stronger. We came here seeking partners. You offered us chains. We respectfully decline. He turned to face the entire council. 63 species from across the galaxy, all of them staring at him like he had gone crazy. For 53 years, humans have tried to be good council members. We shared our medical advances. They saved millions of alien lives. We shared our food production methods. They ended hunger on 17 worlds. We shared our mining techniques. They made rare materials cheap and available to everyone. Some of the aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. And what did we get in return? Hyunwoo asked. Suspicion, delays, insults, and now slavery with a pretty name. You cannot survive without the council, Vexithari said. His voice was not as confident as before. Perhaps, Hyunwoo agreed, but we can certainly try. He picked up his papers and put them in his bag. Dr. Lee and Captain Park did the same. The other human delegates followed their example. Where are you going? Morden demanded. Home, Hyunwoo said simply. We're going home. You cannot just leave, Vexithari sputtered. There are procedures. There are forms to fill out. There are consequences, Hyunwoo said. Yes, I'm sure there are. But they are consequences we choose for ourselves. He walked toward the door. His team followed him. Their footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. If you leave now, you cannot come back, Morden called after them. Hyunwoo stopped at the door. He turned around one last time. High Chancellor and 53 years of membership. Did we ever ask you for anything unreasonable? The old alien was quiet for a long moment. No, he finally admitted. Did we ever break our word to you? No. Did we ever threaten another council member? No. Then why, Hyunwoo asked, did you treat us like criminals? Morden had no answer. Hyunwoo nodded. That's what I thought. Good day, counselors. Good luck with your galaxy. The humans walked out. The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the chamber, 63 alien species sat in shocked silence. They had just lost the most productive, innovative, and helpful member species they had ever known, and they had driven them away with their own pride and fear. High Chancellor Morden stared at the closed door. For the first time in 300 years of leading the council, he wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. But it was too late now. The humans were gone. The news spread across human space faster than light itself. On Earth, President Yoon Seo-jun watched the emergency reports flood in from every human world. The Galactic Council had tried to make humans into supervised pets. Ambassador Kim and his team had walked out. Sir, his aide said quietly, the alien news networks are calling it a temporary tantrum. They think we'll be back within a month. President Yoon almost smiled. Almost. Get me Admiral Choi. Get me Chief Engineer Kang. Get me the full cabinet. And patch me through to every human colony. Within 2 hours, the leaders of humanity were gathered in the secure meeting room beneath Luna City. Admiral Dong-hyun Choi looked grim but determined. Chief Engineer Bo-Ra Kang seemed excited, like a child with a new toy. The other cabinet members looked worried. Ladies and gentlemen, President Yoon began, the aliens think we need them to survive. Today we proved them wrong. He pressed a button on the table. A holographic star map appeared showing all of human space. But there were additions that made several people gasp. New colonies, new shipyards, new supply routes, all hidden from alien eyes. For the past 10 years, Yoon explained, we have been preparing for this day. We hoped it would never come, but we knew it might. Chief Engineer Kang stood up. Her eyes were bright with excitement. Project Exodus is ready, she announced. Completely self-sufficient colony ships, advanced terraforming equipment, closed-loop life support systems. We can build worlds anywhere. How many people can we move? Asked the defense minister. 2 million in the first wave, Kang replied. 5 million within 6 months. Eventually, anyone who wants to leave. Admiral Choi activated another section of the map. Our hidden shipyards have been building new ships for years. Military vessels, colony ships, Deep space explorers. The aliens never knew because we used human-only construction crews and kept everything in the outer systems. President Yoon nodded. Today we begin the recall. Every human citizen in council space gets a choice. Come home to human space or stay and accept whatever the aliens decide to do with them. Sir, the trade minister looked pale. If we leave, the galactic economy will survive or it won't, Yoon cut him off. That's not our problem anymore. Across the galaxy, humans began to pack their lives into boxes and crates. Dr. Hae-Jin Yu, the lead scientist on the secret research projects, supervised the evacuation of the medical facility on Proxima Station. Her team had been developing new medicines and treatments that could save alien lives. Now they were loading everything onto human ships. Doctor? One of her alien colleagues, a gentle creature named Morkith, approached her. Surely you're not leaving. Your work here saves lives. My work saves lives everywhere, Dr. Yu replied sadly. But the council has decided humans can't be trusted with important decisions. So my work goes where humans are trusted. But the medical conference next month will happen without us, Dr. Yu said. I'm sorry, Morkith. I truly am. But we cannot work with people who see us as children. On the trading station New Singapore, merchant captain Jin Ho Nam was loading the last of his cargo ships. The alien dock workers looked confused and worried. Captain Nam, called out broker Yilthes, a thin alien who had worked with humans for years. My clients need those rare earth minerals. The shipment was promised. The shipment was paid for by the council banking system, Nam replied. The same council that just decided humans need supervision for everything. I don't take orders from species that don't respect me. But the contracts are void, Nam said firmly. We're not council members anymore. We don't follow council law anymore. The alien broker's face went pale. But these materials, they're needed for life support systems on 6 worlds. Nam paused in his loading. For a moment he looked sad. Then maybe those worlds should have thought about that before they voted to make humans into pets. President Yoon's address to humanity went out on every communication channel. Humans in the farthest colonies, humans on alien worlds, humans working on space stations in the middle of nowhere, all of them heard the message. My fellow humans, the president's voice was calm and strong. Today the Galactic Council decided that we are not mature enough to govern ourselves. They offered us supervision. They offered us guidance. They offered us chains with pretty names. In the underground cities of Mars, human families gathered around screens to listen. On the agricultural world of New California, farmers stopped their work to hear every word. We have walked among the stars for 53 years. We have shared our knowledge freely. We have helped our alien neighbors when they needed help. We have kept our word even when others broke theirs. On the mining platform orbiting Wolf 359, human workers looked at each other and nodded. They remembered the alien mining guilds that had tried to copy human techniques, then claimed humans were too aggressive in their methods. Today we choose our own path, President Yoon continued. We leave the council not in anger but in dignity. We will not beg for the right to exist. We will not ask permission to grow. We will not accept supervision from those who fear what we might become. Chief Engineer Kang activated the hidden shipyards. Across human space, massive construction bays that had been disguised as asteroid mining facilities came online. Ships that had been built in secret began to power up their engines. The first ship to launch was the New Horizon, a massive colony vessel designed to carry 50,000 people and everything they needed to build a new world. Captain Park So-young, who had stood behind Ambassador Kim during his final speech, now commanded the escort fleet. All ships, this is Captain Park. Her voice echoed across the fleet communication system. We are no longer bound by council navigation laws. We are no longer limited to council-approved routes. We are free to explore wherever we choose. Behind the New Horizon came dozens of other ships, colony vessels, construction ships, military escorts, science ships equipped with the most advanced sensors humanity had ever built. Dr. Yu's medical ship carried tissue samples and genetic databases that could help terraform new worlds. Engineer Kang's construction ships carried factory equipment that could turn raw materials into everything humans needed. Captain Nam's merchant vessels carried enough food and supplies to feed the entire expedition for years. As the great fleet moved toward the edge of human space, alien observers watched in growing alarm. This was not a small group of angry diplomats. This was a planned, organized exodus. The humans had been preparing for this for years. On Council Station, Emergency Session 4401 was called within hours of the human fleet's departure. "They're actually leaving," Trade Minister Golanara reported to the shocked Council. "Every human facility in Council space is shutting down. Every human merchant ship is heading back to human territory. Every human research project is being evacuated." "How many humans are leaving Council space?" High Chancellor Morden asked. "All of them," Golanara replied. "Every single human in Council space is either already gone or actively preparing to leave." Councillor Vexithari still looked confident. "They'll be back. Humans need our protection. They need our trade networks. They need our technology." "Sir," a young aide approached Golnara with a data pad. The trade minister's face went white as she read it. "What is it?" Morden demanded. "The economic projections," Golnara whispered. "If the humans don't come back, if they really stay away, what? 17 worlds will face medical supply shortages within 6 months. The rare earth mineral market will collapse within weeks. Food production on 43 worlds will drop by 30% without human agricultural technology." The council chamber fell silent. Outside the station's windows, the last human ship in council space fired its engines and headed for home. On its hull, someone had painted words in bright red letters. "See you around." The humans were gone. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council realized they might have made an enemy they couldn't afford to lose. 6 months after the humans left, Trade Minister Golnara stood before the Galactic Council with numbers that made her sick to look at. The holographic displays showed red warnings across half the galaxy. "The situation is worse than we predicted," she announced to the silent chamber. "Medical supply shortages have begun on 23 worlds. The price of rare earth minerals has increased by 400%. Agricultural yields are dropping on any world that used human farming techniques." High Chancellor Morden looked older than ever. "Surely other species can fill these gaps." Golnara's laugh was bitter. "The Altarians tried to copy human medical equipment. Their version kills more patients than it saves. The Cereb mining guilds attempted to use human extraction methods. They destroyed 3 mining sites and poisoned a river system." Councillor Vexithari shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He had been very quiet during recent meetings. "What about the humans themselves?" asked Chancellor Kremoth, one of the more reasonable council members. "Where are they now?" "That's the problem," Golnara replied. "We don't know." The admission sent shocked murmurs through the chamber. The council's intelligence network was supposed to track every species in the galaxy. "How can we not know?" Morden demanded. "Human ships left our sensor network 6 months ago," Golnara explained. "They were heading toward the galactic rim beyond our mapped space. Since then, we've detected no human communications, no human ships, nothing." "They could be dead," Vexthari said hopefully. Dr. Yunji Sim, the human xenopsychologist who had chosen to stay behind to study alien reactions, had been allowed to observe the council sessions. She spoke for the first time. "They're not dead," she said simply. "How can you be certain?" Morden asked. "Because I know humans," Dr. Sim replied. "When humans disappear, it means they're busy building something. When they go quiet, it means they're planning." "Planning what?" Dr. Sim smiled sadly. "Whatever they want. That's what you never understood about us. When humans decide to do something, they find a way to do it." Far from the council chambers, her words were proving true. Captain Wu Jin Han commanded a small fleet of human scout ships exploring the unmapped regions beyond council space. What they had found was beyond their wildest dreams. "Base Command," he reported over the quantum communication system. "We've discovered another habitable system. That makes 12 planets perfect for human colonization, plus 6 that could be terraformed within 5 years." The response came from Admiral Min-Soo Lee, who now commanded the border defense of human space. "Any signs of intelligent life?" "Negative on intelligent life," Han replied. "But we've made contact with 3 non-council species. They're friendly and interested in trade. They've never heard of the Galactic Council." "Good. Keep it that way." The humans had not been idle during their exile. President Yoon's plan was working better than anyone had hoped. Chief Engineer Bo-Ra Kang's colony ships had established 6 new worlds in just 6 months. Each world was completely self-sufficient. with closed-loop life support systems and advanced manufacturing facilities. The beautiful thing, Kang reported to the Human Colonial Council, is that we're not limited by Council environmental regulations anymore. We can terraform planets the way we want to, not the way some alien bureaucrat thinks we should. Dr. Hyejin Yu had made breakthrough after breakthrough in her new laboratory on New Terra. Without alien ethics committees questioning every research decision, her team had developed medical treatments that could extend human lifespan by 20 years. We're not just surviving, she told President Yoon during a secure video call. We're thriving. Our technology is advancing faster than ever before. Back in Council space, the effects of human absence were spreading like a disease. The Zephyrian Confederacy, which had relied on human agricultural technology to feed their desert worlds, faced the first famine in 2 centuries. We need to contact the humans, declared Ambassador Yethamara of the Zephyrians. Pride is a luxury we can no longer afford. Contact them how? Golnara asked. We don't know where they are. Then we go to human space and ask. That would require admitting we need them, Vexthari protested. We do need them, Yethamara shouted. My people are eating tree bark because our crops are failing without human soil enhancers. The argument that followed was loud and angry. Half the council wanted to swallow their pride and ask the humans to come back. The other half insisted that admitting weakness would destroy council authority forever. While the council argued, human scout ships had made an even more significant discovery. Captain Han's fleet had encountered the Keepers, an ancient race that had been hiding in the galactic rim for millions of years. They're incredible, Han reported to Earth. Their technology is centuries ahead of anything the Council has, but they've been hiding because they think the Council are bullies who force smaller species to conform. What do they think of humans? President Yoon asked. They like us, Han smiled. They say we remind them of themselves when they were young, independent, stubborn, unwilling to bow to others. The Keepers offered the humans a deal. In exchange for human innovation and energy, they would share their advanced technology and help humans establish a true interstellar civilization. We have watched the Council for thousands of years, the Keeper Elder told Han through a translation device. They fear change. They fear growth. They fear anything that challenges their control. You humans are the first species in ages to walk away from their golden chains. Meanwhile, Admiral Lee was fortifying the human border worlds. The planets were now protected by defensive systems that made them nearly impossible to attack. But more importantly, they were completely self-sufficient. If the Council wants to talk to us now, Lee reported to President Yoon, they'll have to come as equals. We're not begging for scraps anymore. The first official contact attempt came 8 months after the human exodus. A Council diplomatic ship approached the human border world of New Frontier. The ship carried emergency coordinator Yildena, who had been chosen because she was one of the few Council members who had never openly insulted humans. Commander Min-Soo Lee met the Council ship at the system's edge. His ships were smaller than the Council vessel, but they moved with a precision and speed that made the alien crew nervous. Council ship, this is Commander Lee of the New Frontier Defense Force. His voice came over the communication system. You are approaching sovereign human territory. State your business. Commander Lee, Yildena's voice was carefully polite. I am Emergency Coordinator Yildena. I request permission to meet with human leadership to discuss matters of mutual interest. What matters? Lee asked bluntly. The Council. The Council would like to discuss the possibility of renewed cooperation between our peoples. There was a long pause. When Lee spoke again, his voice was colder. Renewed cooperation? You mean like the cooperation where you tried to make us into supervised pets? Commander, please. No, Lee cut her off. The Galactic Council made their position clear. Humans are too immature for self-governance. We need supervision. We need guidance. Remember? The situation has evolved. Yes, it has, Lee agreed. You need our medicine for your plague worlds. You need our food technology for your hungry people. You need our rare earth minerals for your failing infrastructure. but we don't need you anymore." The communication channel went silent. However, Lee continued after a moment. "Humans are not cruel. If the Council wishes to discuss trade agreements between equal partners, they may send a proper diplomatic mission to New Terra. But understand this, we are no longer Council members. We are no longer bound by Council law. We are a sovereign civilization, and we will be treated as such." The Council ship turned around and headed home. On the bridge, Emergency Coordinator Yildena stared at the retreating human worlds. They were prospering. Even from a distance, she could see the orbital installations, the thriving colonies, the busy shipping lanes. The humans had not just survived their exile, they had built something better than what they'd left behind. And now the Council, proud and ancient, might have to beg them to come back. 1 year after the human exodus, the Galactic Council was falling apart. Emergency Coordinator Yildena looked at the crisis report stacked on her desk and wondered how everything had gone so wrong so quickly. "The Zephyrian Confederacy is requesting emergency food aid," her assistant reported. "The Altarian colonies are facing medical supply shortages. 3 minor species have asked to leave the Council and seek independent status." "Like the humans did," Yildena said quietly. "Yes, ma'am." "Exactly like the humans did." The irony was bitter. By trying to control the humans, the Council had shown other species that independence was possible. Now smaller civilizations were questioning why they needed Council permission for every decision. But the immediate crisis was much worse than political problems. The galaxy was facing its first external threat in 1,000 years, and the Council's military was proving completely inadequate. Admiral Kyunsu Park studied the tactical display from his command ship, the New Soul. The enemy vessels were unlike anything in Council databases. They moved in strange patterns, their hulls shifted shape during battle, and they seemed to learn from every engagement. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the enemy fleet is adapting to our weapons again. Our plasma cannons are no longer effective. Switch to kinetic bombardment," Park ordered, "and prep the experimental weapons." The humans called them Void Hunters because they came from the empty space between galaxies. No one knew what they wanted or why they attacked. They simply appeared, destroyed everything they could find, and vanished back into the dark. The Council military had tried to stop them using traditional tactics. Massive fleets, coordinated attacks, overwhelming firepower. It didn't work. The Void Hunters adapted to every strategy within hours, but humans fought differently. Admiral Park's fleet was smaller than the Council armadas, but his ships moved like dancers, never staying in one place long enough for the enemy to adapt. They used hit-and-run tactics, surprise attacks, and weapons that the enemy had never seen before. "Enemy fleet is breaking off," the tactical officer announced. "They're retreating." "Good," Park said grimly. "But they'll be back. And next time, they'll be ready for everything we used today." That was the problem with the Void Hunters. They learned. They adapted. They became stronger with each battle. The Council's rigid military doctrine was exactly the wrong approach against such an enemy. On New Terra, President Nayon Park, no relation to the Admiral, was reviewing intelligence reports about the galactic situation. The young woman had been elected on a platform of selective cooperation with alien species. But the Void Hunter threat was changing everything. "Ma'am," her defense minister said, "we're receiving desperate messages from 17 different Council worlds. They're all asking for military assistance against the Void Hunters." "What does Admiral Park report about the enemy capabilities?" "They're getting stronger. Each attack wave is more sophisticated than the last. If this continues, they'll overwhelm even our defenses within a year." President Park studied the star maps. The Void Hunter attacks were following a pattern, moving steadily toward the galactic core. If they weren't stopped, they would eventually reach human space. "Contact the Council," she decided. "Tell them we're willing to discuss mutual defense cooperation." "Ma'am," her aide looked surprised. "They haven't apologized for the supervised species proposal. They haven't acknowledged our sovereignty." "No," President Park agreed. "They haven't. But sometimes you have to work with people you don't like to fight people you hate." In the Council chambers, High Chancellor Morden was facing the worst crisis of his 300-year career. The holographic displays showed Void Hunter attacks spreading across the galaxy. Entire systems had gone silent. Billions of beings were dead or Missing. The human military has had more success against these invaders than all Council forces combined, reported Admiral Kestar of the Council. Defense Force, the admission clearly pained him. How is that possible? Councillor Vexthari demanded. Their ships are smaller than ours. Their weapons are less advanced. Their tactics are unpredictable, Admiral Kessitar replied. They don't follow standard military doctrine. They improvise. They adapt as quickly as the enemy does. Are you saying we should copy human military methods? Another council member asked. I'm saying we should ask for their help, Kessitar replied bluntly, before these void hunters kill us all. The debate that followed was fierce. Many council members still insisted that asking humans for help would destroy council authority. Others pointed out that there wouldn't be a council to have authority over if everyone was dead. Ambassador Jae Young Kim, daughter of the diplomat who had walked out a year before, represented humanity at the emergency negotiations. She was younger than her father, but she had inherited his calm strength and his refusal to accept disrespect. The human position is simple, she told the assembled council. We will cooperate in the defense against the void hunters, but we cooperate as equals, not as subordinates. What does that mean practically? Emergency Coordinator Yildena asked. It means human commanders will have authority over their own forces, Jae Young replied. It means human tactical decisions will not be subject to council approval. It means we fight this war as allies, not as your supervised pets. Councillor Vexthari's face turned darker blue. The council cannot accept human military independence in this operation. It would set a dangerous precedent. Then the council can fight the void hunters alone, Jae Young said calmly. How has that been working out for you? The silence that followed was broken by reports from the front lines. Another council world had gone silent. The void hunter fleet was growing larger with each victory. We need human help, Admiral Kessitar said quietly. We need it now. High Chancellor Morden looked around the chamber. The proud representatives of 63 species all avoided his eyes. Finally, the ancient being spoke. Ambassador Kim, what are humanity's terms for military cooperation? Recognition of human sovereignty, Jae Young replied. Equal status in all military planning, joint command structure for the defense fleet, and a promise that this cooperation will continue after the crisis ends. You're asking us to treat you as equals, Morden said. We're asking you to treat us as what we are, Jae Young corrected. A spacefaring civilization capable of making our own decisions. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as automated systems announced, Void Hunter fleet detected. All vessels prepare for combat. Through the chamber's huge windows, the council members could see strange ships materializing out of dark space. The vessels were black as night and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in patterns that hurt to watch, like predators circling wounded prey. How many ships? Morden demanded. 200. Admiral Kessitar reported, his voice shaking. It's the largest void hunter fleet we've ever seen. The Council Defense Fleet moved to intercept. 60 massive warships, each one larger than an entire human battle group. They opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. The void hunter ships scattered like smoke, then reformed in new patterns. Their return fire was precise and devastating. Within minutes, half the Council fleet was drifting debris. Sir, a communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. What human fleet? Yildena asked. On the main screen, Admiral Park appeared. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was busy with controlled activity. Council Station. This is Admiral Park of the Human Defense Force. We have 30 ships standing by to assist. 30 ships? Vexthari laughed bitterly. What can 30 ships do against 200? Watch and learn, Park replied. Then he gave orders to his fleet. All ships implement pattern Delta. Show them how humans fight. The human ships moved like they were alive. They didn't fly in formation like Council vessels. Instead, they flowed around the Void Hunter fleet like water around rocks, striking from unexpected angles and vanishing before the enemy could respond. In 30 minutes, the massive Void Hunter fleet was in retreat. 50 of their ships were destroyed, and the rest fled back into dark space. In the council chamber, 63 species stared in shocked silence at the tactical displays. How? Morden whispered. We don't fight like you do, Admiral Park explained over the communication link. We don't follow rigid patterns. We don't wait for permission to improvise. We adapt faster than the enemy can. High Chancellor Morden looked at Ambassador Jae Young Kim. The young human woman met his eyes without flinching. "Your terms," he said quietly. "We accept your terms." For the first time since the Exodus began, a human smiled in the council chambers. The final battle against the Void Hunters came at the edge of the galaxy, where dark space met the light of 1,000,000,000 stars. Fleet Admiral Young Ho Choi commanded the largest combined fleet in galactic history. Human ships flying alongside council vessels, all of them united against a common enemy. "Enemy fleet approaching," reported his tactical officer. "Sir, it's massive. 3,000 ships, maybe more." Admiral Choi studied the displays calmly. The Void Hunter main fleet was 10 times larger than anything they had faced before. But the aliens had made a mistake. They were fighting like the Council used to fight, in rigid formations following predictable patterns. "All ships," Choi announced over the fleet-wide communication system, "remember your training. We are not one fleet following one plan. We are 1,000 small fleets, each one free to adapt and improvise. Trust your instincts. Trust your crews. And trust each other." High Chancellor Morden was aboard Choi's flagship, having insisted on witnessing the battle personally. The ancient alien watched the human admiral with fascination. "You give your subordinates permission to ignore your orders," Morden observed. "I give them permission to be creative," Choi corrected. "That's how humans have always survived. We don't just follow rules, we make new ones when we need them." The battle began badly. The Void Hunters' opening attack destroyed 40 Allied ships in the first few minutes. But instead of retreating or regrouping, the remaining ships scattered in all directions. "What are they doing?" demanded Councillor Nethyar, who was monitoring the battle from Council Station. "They're improvising," Ambassador Jun Seo Lee explained. The human negotiator had spent months working out the details of the new alliance. "Watch what happens next." The scattered ships began attacking from every direction at once. Human vessels used hit-and-run tactics while Council ships provided heavy support fire. Smaller allied species used their ships' unique abilities. Some could turn invisible, others could phase through solid matter. But the most impressive sight was the coordination. Without any central command, the Allied fleet moved like a living organism. When one group needed support, another group was already moving to help. When the Void Hunters adapted to one tactic, 3 new tactics appeared to replace it. How is this possible? War Chief Skultar of the Void Hunters transmitted to the Allied fleet. His voice was filled with confusion and growing fear. "You fight without order. You fight without discipline. How do you coordinate?" "We don't coordinate," Admiral Choi replied. "We cooperate." The difference was subtle but important. Coordination required central control, rigid plans, and predictable responses. Cooperation required trust, communication, and the freedom to adapt. The Void Hunters had learned to counter every Council military doctrine over the past year. But they couldn't counter chaos. They couldn't adapt to tactics that changed every few minutes. They couldn't predict strategies that were being invented in real time. After 6 hours of battle, the Void Hunter fleet began to break apart. Their ships, designed to work as a single coordinated unit, couldn't function when faced with dozens of different fighting styles all at once. "This is War Chief Skultar," the enemy commander broadcast to the entire fleet. We withdraw. Your species fights in ways we cannot understand. We will not return." As the Void Hunter ships vanished into dark space, the Allied fleet erupted in celebration. Humans cheered alongside aliens who had been their enemies just months before. On the flagship's bridge, High Chancellor Morden approached Admiral Choi. The ancient being moved slowly, but his eyes were bright with something that might have been respect. "Admiral," Morden said, "I owe you an apology. We treated your species poorly because we feared what you might become. Today I see what you have become. You have become what we should have been." "What's that?" Choi asked. "A people who bring out the best in others rather than demanding conformity." The celebration continued for days, but the real work was just beginning. Ambassador Lee led the negotiations for what would become known as the Terran Accords, a new agreement that would reshape galactic civilization. "The old council system is dead," President Na-Yun Park announced to the assembled representatives of 87 different species. "We propose something new, not a council that rules, but an alliance that serves." The new system was based on human principles but adapted for galactic diversity. Each species remained completely sovereign over their own affairs. But when cooperation was needed for defense, trade, or exploration, the alliance would coordinate without trying to control. No more supervised species, Ambassador Lee explained to the mixed crowd of human and alien diplomats. No more waiting years for permission to expand or explore. Each civilization makes its own choices and accepts responsibility for its own decisions. Some of the older council species objected. "What about species that make poor choices?" asked Councillor Vexthari, who had been surprisingly quiet since the humans' return. "They learn from their mistakes," replied Dr. Yunji Sim, who had been appointed as the Alliance's first Director of Intercultural Relations. "Just like humans learned from ours. The transformation wasn't immediate, but it was thorough. Within 2 years, the rigid council bureaucracy was replaced by flexible alliance committees. Instead of laws imposed from above, there were agreements negotiated between equals. The economic recovery was even faster. With humans sharing their technology freely again, the medical shortages ended within months. Trade routes reopened. New colonies were established at rates not seen in centuries, but the most important change was psychological. For the first time in galactic history, species were encouraged to be different rather than pressured to conform. "Look at this." Chief Engineer Bo-Ra Kang showed President Park a holographic display of the newest Alliance project. A joint colony ship designed by 12 different species. Human life support, Altarian navigation, Cerebian construction techniques, and innovations from 9 other civilizations. "How's it working?" Park asked. "Better than anything any single species could have built alone." Kang grinned. "Turns out diversity really is strength when you let people contribute freely." The final ceremony took place on New Geneva, a world that had been jointly terraformed by human and alien teams working together. High Chancellor Morden, now bearing the new title of Alliance Coordinator, stood beside President Park to sign the formal documents. 100 years from now, Morden said to the crowd of humans and aliens watching the ceremony, "Historians will mark this day as the beginning of true galactic civilization. Not civilization imposed by the strong upon the weak, but civilization created by all of us, working together." Ambassador Jun Seo Lee watched his daughter play with alien children in the park outside the ceremony hall. Human kids, Altarian youngsters, Cerebian cubs, and a dozen other species all laughing and running together. "Sir," his aide asked, "do you think this will last? Do you think the Alliance will really be different from the Council?" Lee smiled as he watched a human girl help a fallen Zephyrian child back to his feet. The alien boy's parents thanked the human girl in broken English, and she replied in equally broken Zephyrian. "Look at them," Lee said. "That generation doesn't see aliens and humans. They just see friends. Whatever we build, they'll make it better." As the ceremony ended and delegates began planning for the future, no one noticed the small ships launching from New Geneva's orbital station. They were human exploration vessels, heading out toward the galactic rim where the Keepers waited with their ancient wisdom and advanced technology. The Alliance was just the beginning. Humanity had learned that the best way to lead was to help others become their best selves, and in a galaxy full of different species with different strengths, there was no limit to what they might accomplish together. In the end, the Galactic Council hadn't lost their minds when humans abandoned negotiations. They had found them. They had discovered that cooperation was stronger than control, that diversity was more valuable than conformity, and that the best civilizations were built by partners, not by rulers and subjects. The age of human supervision was over. The age of galactic partnership had begun. And somewhere in the dark between the galaxies, the Void Hunters watched and wondered if they had underestimated these strange species who grew stronger through cooperation rather than conquest. But that was a story for another time. For now, the galaxy was at peace and humans were finally free to show everyone what they could really do.